Okay, so these are the Latin abbreviations that we normally use in technical and legal documents. Okay, so in a police report class, hindi lang naman sa police report or investigative report ang ginagamit ng mga pulis, ano? Minsan gumagamit din sila ng mga legal forms, okay? May mga template na silang ginagamit, and sometimes they also we call it use these Latin abbreviations. So pag nakita niyo yung nakalagay doon na supra, open and close parentheses, okay, ang ibig sabihin niyan above, no? See above, parang ganon. And then VD supra means see above. The word VD means see, and then supra is above. So infra, it means a Latin for below, no? Pag sinabi nila na say for example, they would like to refer to the following, nakalagay doon C below or VD infra, or VD infra is C below. Okay, so we have what you call the internal cross-referencing. No? Normally, ginagamit din natin to sa research. Pag nag-discuss kayo sa research nyo later on, babanggitin din ito. No? Kasi ginagamit din to sa mga nagre-research na mga kapulisan, okay, when they do writings. No? So, pag nakalagay dyan, pag sinabing internal cross-references, begin with the signal C. Ano yon? Ang ibig sabihin yan, pag sinabing internal cross-references, minsan, di ba, pag maglagay tayo ng reference natin, normally sa last ng ating text, lagay natin doon reference. O kaya bibliography, lagay natin. So, ngayon kasi class, pag naglagay tayo ng reference, right after the paragraph or right after the sentence, nilalagay na natin doon kung saan yung reference natin. Yun ang tinatawag nating APA style or the American Psychological Association style of referencing. No? So, yun ang idea ng class. Basta pag may reference kayo, either na sinasabi mo doon, C below or C BD, like that. Okay, supra is used to cite prior material while infra is used to cite subsequent material. Exact wording for internal cross-references, however, is flexible. Both terms must be written in italics, but they may be used either as an introductory signal combined with C or in textual phrase directing the reader to the specific material. No? So parang pag sinabi mong C supra, ibig sabihin nun, para mas clarified siya doon sa binabanggit mo, in-explain mo sa report mo or sa research mo, titignan lang niya yung reference sa taas. Pag sinabi mo naman na C below or C infra, ibig sabihin, para mas maliwanag yung para makita niya yung reference mo doon sa sinasabi mo, okay? So titingnan lang niya yung nasa below, okay? So something like that. C supra notes 35 to 38 and the accompanying text, or C cases cited infra note 1 to 1, or C discussion supra part 3.1. So for example, mayroon kang binanggit uli sa baba, tapos parang yung binanggit mo sa baba ay parang summary na lang at yung kompleto na text nun ay nabanggit mo na sa taas. O yun, sabihin mo, lagay mo na doon, C supra. Okay, part 3.1 or paragraph A.1-A o something like that. So depende kung anong ginagamit mong referencing. Okay, or pag marami yung report mo, minsan kasi pag gumagawa ng report ang mga police, ilang pages yan, abot yan ng mga 50 pages, no? Or more than that. Kasi talagang lalo kapag final police report na yan, talagang kumpleto na yan. So, for example, may mga binabanggit sila doon sa report at tawag natin ay medyo parang ni-rephrase na nila or yung keywords na lang ginamit or yung summary na lang or yung concept na lang ang ginamit. So, parang ilalagay na lang doon si supra or supra pages 94 to 97 or pages 21 to 22. So, ibig sabihin, para maintindihan mo yung portion na yon, bumalik ka doon, basahin mo yung pages na yon. Okay? So, C infra or C below or C figure below, inalagay natin. Ano? So, C infra, figure 5. So, for example, or C figure 5 or C infra figure 5. So, for example, yung crime scene report mo or yung crime scene sketch or yung part of the crime scene photography, so pwede rin, nagawin mo siyang figure. Okay? So, shortcut lamang yung class, no? So, normally ginagamit yan sa mga technical and legal documents. Now, moving on, sometimes we use the here and after. particularly sa mga legal documents. Use when using another short form would be impractical, cumbersome, or confusing. Okay? Use when an author, name, or title is long and unwieldy for a normal supra. Okay? Short form citation and to distinguish between two or more authorities cited originally in the same footnote which could easily be confused with each other. Okay? So normally, class, ganito yon. Say for example, pumirma kayo ng kontrata or agreement. Ano? Punta kayo ng kontrata or agreement, or say for example, yung police station nyo, nakipag-enter siya ng memorandum agreement with a particular university or college concerning the approval or concerning the utilization of the on-the-job trainees. Kasi ganun yung klase. Pag nag-on-the-job trainee kayo sa criminology or sa police station, nire-require nila ng CHED na mayroon dapat memorandum of agreement. Okay, so for example, ang haba ng pangalan ng school, no? Tapos represented by Mr. blah blah blah. Okay? Yan. As the nakalagay doon as the school, okay? Tapos represented by Police Major blah blah blah, Chief of Police of Arayat, Pampanga, okay? Hereinafter referred to as, parang ganoon. Hereinafter referred to as. So instead na ilagay mo yung buong pangalan niya, okay, buong pangalan ni imbis na ulit-ulitin mo yung buong pangalan ni presidente ng school ng ECA, or ulit-ulitin mo yung buong pangalan ng chief of police or ng police station, so lagay mo lang doon, hereinafter referred to as, okay, the school, okay, and then hereinafter referred to as the client. So, parang ganon. So habang binabanggit mo na siya all over sa yung memorandum of agreement na ginawa mo, ay hindi mo na babanggitin yung kompletong pangalan ng representative or yung school or yung police station, pero yun lamang ginamit mo na shortened na pangalan nila. Say for example, client or service provider, like that. Okay? Or kung sa kontrata, sa deed of sale, pwedeng yung pangalan ng seller, lagay na lang niya the seller, hereinafter referred to as the seller. Tapos yung bumili, instead na ulit-ulit mo yung pangalan ng bumili, ilagay mo lang doon, hereinafter referred to as the buyer. So ganun yung class ang gamit niyan. Okay? So to use hereinafter at the end of the first full citation and enclosed in square brackets, but before any explanatory parenthetical, and write hereinafter followed by a shortened form of the authority, typically a paraphrase of the title or designation of type of document as long as unambiguous. Okay? Or kung pa naman sinasite mo yung police investigation report regarding shooting incident. So yun ang title ng document na nire-refer mo. So instead na ulit-ulitin mo yon, lagay mo lang doon, hereinafter referred to as the investigation report. Okay? So parang ganun lang. So pag ginagamit mo na yung word na investigation report all throughout the paper, no, you are referring to that particular investigation report na napakahaba ng title. Yun ang gamit class ng hereinafter, no? Okay. So again class, no, sa ating pinapag-aralan, technical report writing, in-include natin yan, kaya nga pinagawa ko ng application letter, no? Okay? Pinagawa ko ng ibang letter kasi kapag kayo ay nasa kapulisan, hindi lamang yung police report ang ginagawa ninyo, kundi marami pang klaseng report writing doon sa istasyon. Okay? But of course, ang pinakauna diyan yung mastery ng English grammar natin. Now, moving on. Loc-cit, okay? Or the loco citato. Loco citato. Okay? Citation. Ganon din class, citation. Ibig sabihin yan, say for example, kapag ako ay may binabanggit sa inyo at yung story ay narinig ko lang na sinabi ng iba, so sasabihin ko according to, diba? According to Sir Warren Corpus, like that. So ibig sabihin hindi ko claim na word ko yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, kundi ito ay galing sa isang tao at sinasite ko siya. Okay, isa-cite mo. So say for example, kapag sumulat ka at kumopya ka doon sa computer, nag-copy-paste ka, tapos pinablis mo yan, kakasuhan ka ng plagiarism. Ano ba yung plagiarism class? Yung pangungopya ng mga work ng iba na walang paalam, walang pahintulot. No? Kasi nasa kanila yung intellectual property noon, yung copyright nila. No? Kaya para hindi sabihin na kinopya mo, so i-paraphrase mo yung kinopya mo sa internet or sa libro, and then ilalagay mo doon short and open open and close parenthesis, ilagay mo doon Loksit. Parang ganon. Pero sino si Loksis? Yung meaning in the place cited, meaning kapag pwedeng nandun sa footnote, pag sinabi nating footnote class, kapag may binabasa kayong mga report, down below may maliliit na italics, nakalagay na doon yung mga reference niya. Footnote ang tawag doon. Okay? Per pages nandun yung reference niya. May nakalagay number 1, number 2. Ano yung number 1, number 2 na nakasite? Okay? Yun ang nilalagay. Ngayon naman, pag sinabing endnote naman, so pagkatapos ng 10 paragraph, dun sa pinakadulo, nandun yung mga citations or nandun yung mga references. Okay? So yun ang idea ng endnote at saka footnote. So again class, pag gumagawa ka ng mga report, minsan hindi mo sariling word or hindi mo sariling idea. Minsan may mga references ka. So it is but right to cite the references. Okay? So pag sinabi mong Loksit, ibig sabihin, or loco citato, ibig sabihin nun, may nauna ka nang binanggit. Say for example, kumopya ka sa libro ko na traffic. Tapos nilagay mo sa report mo. Tapos ilagay mo doon sa yung pangalan ko, Diliso 2020. Diba? Page 5. Parang ganon. Tapos, nung sumunod, okay? Nung sumunod na paragraph, sinite mo ulit ako. No? Yung ginamit mo rin yung parehas na page na yon. So, ilagay mo na, instead na ulitin mo yung pangalan ko, Diliso, 2021, imbis na na-cite mo ulit yung pangalan ko doon, na kinopyahan mo ng nilalagay mo sa report mo, hindi na, ilagay mo lang siyang IBID. No? Or IBIDIM. No? IBID, ibig sabihin nun, parehas yung reference, parehas yung author, parehas yung page na kinopyahan ko sa work niya. Okay? So, okay. Now, instead of using the IBID, ginagamit natin ngayon yung loco citato, Loksit. Okay? When the reference is not only to the work immediately preceding, but also refers to the same page. Kapag parehas na page. Yung sabi ko kanina, may kinopya ka sa report or sa libro ko, nilagay mo sa report mo. So, isa-cite mo ako na kinuha mo sa akin yon. So, ilagay mo yung pangalan ko doon, Diliso, 2020. Okay, tapos, sa mga susunod na paragraph, isinite mo ulit ako. The same page naman siya. So, instead na ilagay mong IBID, ilagay mo na siyang loco citato. So, the same page. Pero pag hindi the same page, pwede lang yung IBID. Say, for example, yung kinopyahan mo na lagay mo sa report ay sa page 5 sa sinulat kong libro. So, Diliso, okay, 2020, page 5. Nakalagay doon, P5. Ngayon, sa sumunod, mayroon kang sinite ulit sa aking libro. Pero hindi na siya page 5. Okay? Nasa page 10 yung sinite mo ulit na idea na kinuha mo sa akin. So, instead of writing again my name as Diliso 2021 page 10, hindi na. Ilagay mo lang doon IBID. Ibig sabihin nun, isang reference. Pero kapag parehas na page, ilagay mo loco citato or Loksit. Yan. So, but also refers to the same page. Yan. So, loco citato is also used instead of opsit. Ano naman yung opsit? Yan. When reference is made to a work previously cited and to the same page in that work. Yan. As such, Loksit is never followed by volume or page numbers. Basta lagay yung Loksit na lang, wala nakalagay na page number. Okay? So, Loksit is also used instead of opsit. Yan. Kapag tawag natin, kapag the same page, no, ginagamit mo Loksit. Pero pag hindi the same page, opsit ang nilalagay. Okay? So, the opsit is opere citato, meaning in the work cited. Meaning, so for example, yung ginawa mong police report ay base sa report ng isang police din, di ba? So sinite mo yung work niya. Okay? So ilagay mo doon, opsit. Yan. Diliso opsit, like that. Kung ako yung gumawa, kung ako yung reference ang kinuha mo. It is used in an endnote or footnote to refer the reader to a previously cited work. Standing in for repetition of the full title of the work, opsit thus refers the reader to the bibliography where the full citation of the work can be found or to a full citation given in a previous note. So, kaya pag gumaga kayo ng report at meron kayong kinopyahan yan, i-cite nyo palagi internal citation after the paragraph or after the sentence. Okay? Inside an open and closed parenthesis. Ngayon, pwede mo nang ilagay yung kompletong title, kompletong pangalan ng reference mo at kompletong title, sino ang nag-publish, anong publishing, okay, at anong page. Nandun yon sa bibliography or sa references sa dulo. Kaya pag nagbabasa kayo, for example, nagre-research kayo sa Wikipedia. Pag sa Wikipedia kayo nagre-research, di ba, makikita nyo class, may mga number na malilit na nasa taas na mga maliit na number, no? Ngayon, pag clinic mo yon kasi blue yon, idadirect ka niya doon sa may endnotes niya or sa bibliography. Doon mababasa mo yung kumpletong pinagkuhanan ni Wikipedia. Para, ibig sabihin, yung sinasabi mo, hindi mo inaangking para sa'yo yon. Hindi inaangkin ni Wikipedia na sa kanya yung sinulat niya. Actually, sinasite niya yung reference. Ganon. Okay, sabi ko nga, kapag inaangkin mo yung work ng iba without consent, without permission, okay, pwede kang kasuhan ng plagiarism. So, of course, class, no? Gagamitin nyo to later on kapag kayo ay nasa research writing nyo na. So, at least binibigyan ko na ka-idea na sa police, sa technical writing report, sa technical report writing, hindi lamang yung investigation report ang mga sinasite ninyo. Okay? Minsan, napaka-bulky yung mga reports na sinasubmit ng kapulisan. Moving on, yun yung IBID na sinasabi ko, yung IBIDEM, in the same place. This repeats the previous author and title and whatever else is identical. It is still frequently used. So, ginagamit pa rin. So, sinite mo yung kinuha mo doon sa libro ng PNP Criminal Investigation Manual. Doon ka kumopya ng reference mo. Isasite mo ngayon doon. PNP, 2013. O pwede mo ilagay yung page 5 para mas specific yung reference. Tapos ngayon, parehas yung location. So, instead of loco citato, ilagay mo yung IBIDEM or IBID na tinatawag natin. Okay? Now, so yung report na pinag-usapan natin, as we always mention, at minimension ko palagi, it is a story of action performed by men, a chronological step-by-step account entirely or almost entirely a factual account of the incidents that took place in a given event. Or it is the story of action that were actually performed by flesh and blood human beings. So lahat yan, pwede kang nagpatrol, pinagawa ka ng report, nag-imbestiga ka, pinagawa ka ng report, first responder ka, pinagawa ka ng report. Okay? So pinag-attend ka ng webinar, pinagawa ka ng report kung ano nangyari sa webinar. Yan. So ikaw ay inutusan na mag-lecture sa community or sa isang eskwelahan. Okay, so pinagawa ka ng after incident report or after activity report. So ganun class, ikwento mo ngayon, no? Okay? So kahit ikaw din, pag ni-report mo yung ginawa mo sa buong maghapon na ito, that's already a report. You are going to narrate the story. Okay, so moving on class, pag sinabi mong police report, according to Isaiah's Almause, is any written matter prepared by the police involving their interaction with the community. So when we say interaction with the community, hindi lamang investigation lang class, hindi lamang yan patrol, kundi lahat, no? Okay? Kaya alam niyo sa government, masyado silang tawag natin bureaucratic. Okay? At kailangan yan, sabi nga nila, every police action must be followed by a police report. Kasi yung report na yan, yun yung documentation mo. Did you know class na kami rin dyan sa ICA ay nagsasubmit din kami ng report namin every week. Dati every 2 weeks. Nagsasubmit din kami ng report namin kung anong ginawa namin sa school, kung anong ginawa namin sa klase. So nagsasubmit din kami ng report class. Okay? So ganun yon. So ngayon, yung police, kung ano man yung ginawa na sa community, gagawa niya ito ng police report. Okay? So generic. Generally, we call those report as police report. It provides a record of incidents requiring police response. This includes criminal offenses, arrests, lost and found property, and general information. Okay, so another concept, police report is an exact narration of facts. Take note, exact narration of facts, which were discovered during the course of a crime investigation, which serves as a permanent record for future references. Okay, so for further, according to Isabel L. Horbuda, so when I say according to Isabel L. Horbuda, I am not claiming na ito yung mga idea ko. So it is a chronological or step-by-step account of an incident that took place at a given time. It has therefore a beginning on or about, okay, 1700 hours, August 1999. This station received a call regarding a vehicular accident. Mamaya pagkatapos natin, bibigyan ko kayo ng similar na quiz doon sa part ng exam ninyo. Yung i-arrange nyo yung mga sentences. Okay? I-arrange nyo kung anong mauunang dapat. Then moving forward with more details in the middle portion. So normally, in the first paragraph, pwedeng yung first paragraph mo, you are revealing what sort of crime is being described. Ano yon? That on or about, okay, assuming to ngayon nangyari yung crime, on or about sa 0300 hours, kaninang madaling araw, okay, 22 April 2021, okay, a shooting incident was reported, okay, by the victim or by a complainant, okay, identified as blah blah blah. Okay, so yon. Or pwede naman sa police report mo, pwede naman na yung authority line mo. Okay? That in connection with or as per instruction of COP, like that. So the middle paragraph now involves now your arrivals and departures. So for example, okay, so isa-cite mo na yun, anong ginawa mo, that after you received the report, you immediately responded to the crime scene. Now you state in your report the date and time of police operation or the TDPO or yung anong time ka nakarating doon, that the undersigned police officer, okay, arrived at the crime scene at exactly 03:45 hours. Then of course, isa-set mo na. Meron pa bang additional mga pwede mong ikwento doon? Okay, so kung wala na, pwede mo lang i-end yung report mo, yung conclusion. Ano yon? Pinaka-conclusion mo doon? Ano na yung pinaka-recent doon? Anong nangyari sa suspect? Okay, nahuli ba siya? Okay, identified na ba siya? Okay, at large ba siya? Meaning, di siya nahuli. Kumusta si biktima? Siya ba'y niras sa hospital? Nakauwi na ba? Okay, so under medication pa rin ba? Or namatay? Okay. So the status of the case is part of the ending part. The disposition of the individuals involved, hospitalized, jailed, or otherwise taken home, and the disposition of the evidence. Meaning, pwede mo ilagay doon for further investigation or the collected evidence were forwarded or were turned over to PNP Crime Laboratory. And further, who or what is being sought for can be basis for ending. Ano yon? Na nahuli ba yung suspect? Or nakompleto na ba yung report? So ilalagay mo sa mga ending mo yan. Now, the purposes, as we mentioned already, one of the purposes of police report writing is to record the facts of a crime. So again, we mentioned about the facts of the case, meaning these are the things that were recorded by the five senses of a person. Or kung ano yung nakita mo, anong narinig mo, anong dinatnan mo, okay, so yun ang i-report mo dyan. Okay, so records for police administrators in planning, so that's basic. Use as legal documents in case na papasok sa korte yung kaso, sa prosecution. Pwedeng maging reference yan. So yan sinasabi ko, pwedeng maging reference ng ibang police agencies. Kaya pag gumagawa kayo ng report or gumagawa kayo ng report, minsan gumagamit kayo ng mga references. Kaya kailangan i-cite nyo kung sino yung reference nyo. Okay? By citing the name and then by using the ibidem or the opsit or the loksit means of referencing. Okay, so pwede rin gamitin ni local media para meron silang may report. Pwede silang humingi ng portion of that. No? So pwede rin basis ng research yan sa mga ginagawa ng kapulisan natin. So kapag yan ay mga naka-record, pwedeng gamitin yan ng media, ng mga criminology practitioners, mga students, mga faculty members para gamitin nila na reference for their research. Okay? So moving on, class. A report of investigation is an objective statement. So nabanggit natin yan na kapag ikaw ay investigador, kapag ikaw ay mag-imbestiga, lahat ng mga evidence sa crime scene, whether favorable or not, doon sa suspect or sa victim, kailangan kolektahin mo yan. Lahat yan. Kasi nga, ikaw ay objective. So, hindi ka lamang kukuha ng evidence that will inculpate your suspect. But even those pieces of evidence that may exculpate your suspect, meaning mapawalang sala, yung suspect, ay kukunin mo pa rin. Kasi nga, objective ka. So, it is now the official record of the information relevant to the investigation which the investigator submits to his superior. In a major case, pag sinabi natin major case, yan yung mga shooting incident, homicide, murder, rape cases, mga major cases yan. Mga big time robberies, no? Mga major cases. So, dapat yan, na isasubmit yan within a matter of few days. Yan. Kasi napaka-importante yan eh. Napaka-serious yung kaso. The seriousness of the matter will warrant maximum investigative efforts. Okay? And then, of course, later on, pag na-submit mo yan, may mga follow-up report. Yan tinatawag natin mga supplementary reports. Will be sent out as the information is developed or the lead discovered. So, pag nag-conduct ka ng follow-up investigation, at mayroon kang mga nakuhang bagong lead or nakuhang bagong ebidensya, so gumawa ka ng supplementary reports. Tinatawag natin na mga follow-up report ang tawag natin doon. Pag nag-conduct ka ng follow-up investigation. Basta may bagong update sa ginagawa mong kaso, kailangan gawan mo ng supplementary reports. Kahit isang evidence lang yan, basta may nakuha ka, gawan mo ulit ng supplementary report. Okay? So in major cases, a status report should be made even when no new significant information has been discovered or uncovered. Meaning, after 1 week, okay, ay napaka-serious nung crime na yan. Kailangan mag-submit ka ng report kahit wala pang bagong lead. So sabihin mo lang na this is a follow-up report of the shooting incident where 5 people died. Okay? So tingnan niyo yan. Pag isinet mo yung napakaraming summary ng report, matagal kaya kailangan mo gumamit ng supra or infra. Okay? So lagay mo doon na up to this date or the police officers conducted follow-up investigation. Okay? However, to this date, none has been discovered. Parang ganun, lagay mo lang doon para na-update lang si COP. Okay, so the closing report will be submitted when all leads are developed and the case does not warrant further investigation. Meaning, pag natapos na lahat, nakuha na lahat ang mga ebidensya na kailangan, okay, okay, ay pwede ka nang gumawa ng closing report. Ibig sabihin nun, ready for prosecution na. Or, ibig sabihin, ay na-exhaust mo na yung investigation. Okay? You are facing a blank wall. Wala ka nang makuhang ebidensya. Gawa mo na ng closing report. Lagay mo lang doon na pending yung kaso or close na yung kaso. Okay. So, pag close na yung kaso, ibig sabihin, ready for prosecution na. So, again, sa paggawa ng report, paulit-ulit na, kailangan malawak yung vocabulary natin. So, fortunate you are class kasi meron tayong mga thesaurus dictionaries. May mga electronic dictionaries tayo. So, kahit ako, from time to time, tinitignan ko yung aking dictionary at tinitignan ko yung thesaurus ko kung anong pinaka-right term or right word na gagamitin. Okay? So, vocabulary is the word of language, supply of words which we know and we use, whether speaking or writing. However, in police report class, make it simple. Huwag kang gumamit ng mga high-falutin words kasi para yun sa mga gumagawa ng tula, no? Then the diction, the correct choice of words. Okay, parehas ngang meaning, pero tama ba? Okay? Appropriate ba yung word? Diba? So parehas ang meaning, pero yun ba yung tamang word na gamitin mo? No? Yun ang ibig sabihin yan. Okay, so you select the exact, precise, objective words to convey the meaning. Moving on, class. Again, nabanggit ko to nung nakaraan. Ano? Kapag nagre-report tayo, kung maaari ay yung sentence mo, maigsi lang. Iwasan yung ginagawa ninyo na ang haba-haba. Okay? Hindi lang compound sentence. Compound, complex pa yung mga sentence niyo. Okay? Halos pag binabasa mo, hindi ka na makahinga. Okay? Kailangan yan, yung sentence mo, at least short sentence. Short and simple and direct. Kapag long yan, difficult to follow. And then, nandun yung emphasis, nandun yung clarity at yung proper communication. Okay? So, kapag mahaba kasi yan, hindi mo alam tuloy kung anong sinasabi niya. Okay, mako-confuse lang yung nagbabasa. Tapos, kapag short sentences, mayroong mga breathing space. Pag long, no breathing space. Ikaw mismo nagbabasa, parang mapapagod ka. Okay, so correctness in a sentence should be written in the past tense, and there are three essential elements of the narrative. Ano yan? Pag nag-narrate tayo, okay, meron tayong setting. Pag sinabi nating setting, kailan? Kailan nangyari yung suntukan? Kailan nangyari yung incident na yan? At saan? Di ba? Yun ang setting mo. Tapos, ang characters mo, sino? Pag sinabi mong sino, sino ang suspect? Sino ang salarin? Okay, who is the victim? Who is the suspect? And who are the witnesses? Okay? And then, you have now the action. Nagkikwento ka. So, ano yung mga nangyari? What? Ano nangyari? Shooting incident. Bakit? Bakit niya pinaril? No apparent reason. Okay? How? Paano? Okay? Gumamit siya ng caliber 45. So, ganun ang tatlong elemento ng narrative. The setting, characters, and action. Now, punta tayo sa paragraph construction. Nabanggit ko na ito nung nakaraan. A paragraph is a sentence or group of properly related sentences expressing a single idea. So, single idea. Kaya kapag natapos mo yung isang idea, mag-start ka ulit ng panibagong idea. Huwag mong punuin yung isang paragraph ng napakaraming idea. Okay? So, kapag alam mo sa narration mo na kailangan mo ng kumambyo, kailangan mo ng mag-conjunction, kailangan magpanibago ka ng panibagong paragraph. It is a sentence or group of properly related sentences and expresses a complete or single idea. Ayan. So the writer must distinguish one paragraph from another by leaving a blank line between them. So pag kayo ay gumawa ng reports, so pag mag-start kayo ng panibagong paragraph, para ma-distinguish or mayroon siyang dividing line, kapag in-enter mo, okay, bababa yung cursor mo, ay another space para mayroong one space in between two paragraphs para mayroon siyang separation space. Okay? So giving the written page the appearance of having breathing space between paragraphs. Normally, this is done by numbering each paragraph consecutively. Sa police report class, normally, nilalagay natin ng number. Okay, A. Okay, authority line or authority. Ano yan? This is or as per instruction of the chief of police, the undersigned police officer conducted investigation or the following investigation, okay, involving the shooting off or inherent to the work of the police, okay, the undersigned or inherent to the work of this office, the undersigned police officer responded to a shooting incident. So ibig sabihin, sinasabi mo na part na ng trabaho nyo, okay, kaya ka nag-responde sa crime scene. Ayan. So, normally, minanumberan natin yan. So, paragraph A, tapos may subparagraph number 1, subparagraph A. Kaya pag kayo ay nag-refer later on, kapag kayo ay mag-cite later on, sasabihin mo lang ng number, mas madaling hanapin. So, for example, guys, no, parang sa Bible. Did you know na yung Bible, yung original na Bible, wala namang paragraph numbers yan. Walang mga numbers, walang mga verses, walang mga chapters. So, later on, yung mga scholar, hinati-hati na lang nila according sa mga idea. Okay? Hinati-hati nila according sa idea, tapos ninumberan nila. Kaya meron kayong chapter 5, okay? Verse 2, sinasabi mo doon. Okay? Para mas madaling hanapin. Ganun din class sa mga police report. Normally, ninanumberan natin yan. Para sabihin mo lang, sa korte, sabihin mo lang, Your Honor, that particular facts are already cited in this report. See paragraph A.2.B. O something like that. So titignan lang niya, ito nga. Nandito nga yung sinasabi niya. Okay? So ninanumberan natin yung class. Parang pag gumawa kayo ng affidavit, okay? Hereby depose and state. Okay? Number 1, number 2. So ganon. So ninanumberan yan class para consecutively para mas madaling maghanap. So further characteristics of paragraph, short paragraph and give the reader a rest and recapture the reader's attention. Okay, so again sa report natin, dapat tamang spelling. Kaya pag hindi ka sigurado sa spelling, tingnan mo si dictionary, parang yung word na receive. No? Ano ba yung receive? CEI or CIE, di ba? Pati ako minsan, ano ba yung receive, di ba? Lalong-lalo nung nagkaroon ng mga text class, no? Text chat, na kung ano ng abbreviation at spelling ng ginagawa. Kaya minsan, pati ako minsan, ano ba yung spelling nito? Nakalimutan ko na, di ba? So it is okay class na mag-refer ka sa dictionary or sa thesaurus or sa electronic dictionary mo, no, kung ano yung tamang spelling. Anyways, class na sa inyong panahon, no, sa ating panahon ngayon, medyo mas fortunate tayo kasi pag sumusulat ka, kapag mali yung tawag natin, yung may grammatical error doon, i-underline ni Microsoft Word. I-underline niya ng red or blue. Ano yun? Eh, kung may application ka pa na ginagamit, tulad ng Grammarly, automatic, chinecheck niya. Sinasuggest niya, dapat ilagay mo doon. Diba? So, importante yung spelling, lalo pag pangalan ng tao, no? Mabibisit yun, pangalan ng sinulatan mo, wrong spelling pa. Then, the division of word. Now, itong division of word naman, class, hindi na ito masyadong ginagamit ngayon kasi automatic yung computer na pinoformat niya yung isang line ng sulat, no, or isang paragraph. Automatic pinoformat niya yan. Dati kasi hinahati yung word. So for example, transportation, hindi magkakasya. Saan mo puputulin? Doon ba sa trans, doon ba sa portation, like that, no? Pag putulin mo, dapat sa mga syllable mo siya putulin. Okay? Now, capitalization, proper nouns, you capitalize. Beginning of each sentence, they should be capitalized. Okay? Then, the proper use of punctuation marks. Diba? Importante yun. Okay? Kailan mo gagamitin yung colon, yung semicolon, yung comma. Okay? So, importante yan. Kasi may ibig sabihin yun. Yung, pag gumamit ka ng colon, ibig sabihin nun, inililist down mo or nag-enumerate ka ng mga items. Okay, so now in reporting class, kailangan may notes, di ba? Kailangan na may note taking. Okay, meron kang rough draft na tinatawag natin. Okay, first you gather and arrange the information in a logical sequence. You outline your report, then arrange your notes, evidence, and exhibits in the same order as you intend to present the information in the report. Then report should refer to each other and are correlated. No? Hindi pwede na tatlong insidente nandun sa isang report. Dapat isang insidente, isang report. So ito yung sinusunod natin, yung GROWE. Di ba? Anong gawin natin? Unang-una, gather the facts. Saka mag-gather ng facts? Saan? Sa mga biktima, sa mga witnesses. Okay? Sa mga concerned citizen or sa suspect mismo kung gusto niya magbigay. After nakuha mo, dapat meron kang note-taking, mag-note-taking ka, take note mo lahat ng sinasabi ng mga nagre-report, no? Okay? Lahat ng information, i-take note mo lahat. Okay? Kahit yung mga seemingly unimportant matters, i-take note mo lang lahat. Anyways, i-evaluate mo naman yung evaluate mo naman yung mga ilalagay mo sa report later on. Hindi man ibig sabihin, class, na lahat ng mga tinake down mo, no, tinake note mo, ay ilalagay mo sa report mo. Hindi, class. Kaya nga may evaluation eh. Okay, evaluate mo, ito ba necessary na ilagay ko? Okay, necessary ba na ilagay ko ba ito? May bearing ba ito sa kaso? Kung wala, okay, wag mo lang ilagay, parang ganon. Parang ganon din class investigation. Pag nag-iimbestiga tayo, lahat ng mga ebidensya kukunin natin, kahit parang hindi importanteng ebidensya. Anyway, later on, hindi naman ibig sabihin na isasubmit mo lahat yan sa korte. I-evaluate mo rin yon. Kung necessary ba na i-present pa yung evidence na yon, mayroon ba siyang bearing sa kaso. So, after recording the facts, you organize. Okay? Pagtugmain mo na anong naunang nangyari. Kasi minsan, balibaliktad yung narration ng mga witnesses. Ngayon, ipaulit mo, ano ba talaga nangyari? Binulyawan muna bago sinuntok or sinuntok muna bago binulyawan, something like that. Okay? So, you organize the facts and then you write now the report. So, after writing the report, i-evaluate mo. No? Ulitin mo siyang basahin. So you can evaluate by report by editing and proofreading. Pag sinabing editing, baka mayroong mga typo errors, di ba? Baka may mga typographical errors, iba yung napindot mo na letter. Okay? So pwede mo na lang ipa-proofreading yan sa iba, pabasa mo sa iba para makita nila yung kamali sa report mo. Mas maganda kasi na less error sa report mo, or no error in your report, bibilib sa'yo yung yung korte. Diba? So ano yung style and qualities ng paggawa ng report, class? Factual, meaning it contains all the facts that you recovered in the crime scene based on the 5 senses. Pero class, may pero kasi binanggit ko kanina, tignan mo kung yung mga information lang or yung mga facts lang na sumusuporta sa corpus delicti or the body of the crime. Okay? At sumusuporta sa identity ng suspect, okay? At doon sa mga evidence to prove the guilt of the suspect. So, if that is an investigative report. Okay, so kompleto, contain all facts and findings, and objective, specificity, okay, present facts with appropriate words. Okay, very specific yung pagsulat mo doon, clear. Simple and direct, clear, objective, or purpose, meaning lahat yan, no? Hindi siya magbibigay ng double meaning. Okay, relevant, related to the stated objective or functional subject, and then brief. Sabi nga nila, the less talk, the less mistake. So avoid repetition, inclusion of unnecessary details. Then accurate, kung ano yung mga ni-report, ano nakita, yun lamang ang isulat. And up to date, timely, submitted immediately after conducting the initial and follow-up investigation. And it should be fair, avoid formulating facts with preconceived theories. So pag nag-imbestiga ka, dapat ang mindset mo hindi para ma-convict yung suspect, kundi ang mindset mo kukuha ng facts. So ganun din kapag nagti-take note ka ng report para sa investigation mo. Ang purpose mo is para tawag natin, makatulong ka dun sa solution ng crime. Ang hindi mo purpose na ma-convict yung suspect. Ang purpose mo lang is para i-present mo yung facts bilang investigator. So kapag sabi natin kanina, yung first step is gathering of facts. Saan ka kukuha ng facts? Di ba? Nabanggit natin yung mga primary source natin, no? Di ba mga primary source natin? Okay, yung mga original evidence na nakuha sa crime scene, yung mga original na sinabi ng mga tao sa crime scene, di ba? They enable students and researchers to get as close as possible to the actual event. Or meaning, yung mga kapag yung COP mo, babasahin niya yung pan mo, babasahin niya yung report mo, since primary yung source mo, parang ikaw na yung nagsasalita sa kanyang binabasang report. The information in primary sources has not yet been analyzed, summarized, or interpreted, which gives you the opportunity to do so yourself. Meaning, raw material pa lang yon, raw information. Sabi ko nga, hindi naman ibig sabihin na tinake down mo ay ilalagay mo lahat sa yung report. Titignan mo lang yung mga competent and relevant evidence and mga significant evidence. Yung sumusuporta ng corpus delicti at sumusuporta sa identity ng suspect at sumusuporta sa guilt ng suspect. And of course, kapag may mga evidence na seemingly ay pumapabor sa suspect, ilagay mo pa rin kasi nga objective report writer ka. So ano yung primary sources natin? Yun, eyewitnesses accounts, yung mismo nakakita. Okay? Kapag yung mga nag-experiment, mga primary source yan. Statistical data. Pag sinabing experiment results, for example, investigador ka, ay yung ballistic report, no? Nag-conduct yung crime lab ng test firing. So, yung kanilang report, ay yun ang source mo, primary source yun. Kasi product yun ng experiment or testing. Okay? So, survey and interviews. Nag-survey ka, nag-interview ka sa mga tao. Yung sinabi nila, mga primary sources mga yon. And then, the legal documents. Ano yan? Yung mga, say for example, birth certificate, death certificate, okay? O anumang mga dokumento relative to the offense. Okay? At may mga official document or public document doon. So, magiging primary sources yon. Ano naman yung ibang primary source? Na imagine a historical event that you are researching or investigating. Say the moon landing. Of course, you can't go back in time and experience the event yourself. So, you decide to start looking for eyewitnesses reports, photographs, and videos. No? So, hindi ka pupunta sa buwan. No? Parang ganon. So, ganon din sa crime scene, pupunta ka sa crime scene. Pero hindi mo na pa pwedeng maibalik yung crime scene. Tapos na yung crime scene unless ikaw ay mag-physical reconstruction. Okay? So, yung mga primary sources mo, sila yung mga pinaka-closest doon sa pangyayari. Diba? Okay? Kapag yung mga tungkol sa buwan, yung mga astronaut ang kausapin mo, sila yung mga primary sources, di ba? Kapag incident naman, yung mga nakakita sa crime scene. Okay? Or doon sa crime incident. A professor is researching the study habits of college students. He uses a survey to gather data and conducts interviews with college students. The professor reports his findings and publishes them in a journal. This research is a primary source because it includes the original raw data. Okay? Hindi mo binago yung sinabi nila. Pero ikaw ang nag-publish. Yung report mo, primary source pa rin 'yon kasi raw data yung sinubmit mong report. What about the secondary source of report? A secondary source interprets, analyzes, and or explains primary sources. Meaning, sa investigation, okay, isinite mo eksakto yung sinabi ng ballistic report or ballistician. So yung report mo, primary pa rin yun. Kasi isinite mo lang yung sinabi doon sa ballistic investigation or ballistic examination. Pero kapag yung report mo ay base sa ballistic report ng crime lab, pero binigyan mo ng explanation yung report, then magiging secondary source ka na. Kasi hindi na yung original na sinabi ang ini-report mo. Diba? Kaya minsan class, kapag magre-research kayo later on, minsan yung in toto or verbatim na sinabi ng mga in-interview mo ang isusulat mo para maging primary source yung yung research mo. Pero pag ni-rephrase mo yung sinabi nila, magiging secondary source ka na. Ganon. Ganon din sa police report. Kapag eksakto yung kinal-out mo sa isang document, magiging primary source ka pa rin kasi eksakto lang yung kinal-out mo. Pero pag ni-rephrase mo siya, magiging secondary source ka na. Okay, so yan, yung mga, pag nagre-research kayo, may mga literature kayong binabasa o may mga report kayong binabasa, may mga ballistic report or question document examination report or the medical legal report, ayun, mga pwedeng basahin ninyo. And then, are there any opinion pieces, documentaries, meron ba? Okay? Kung wala, of course, hindi necessary. Basta, ibig sabihin yan, saan ka kukuha ng i-report mo? Okay? Depende sa insidente. Pag crime yan, class, normally, sa crime scene ka kukuha ng information at sa mga eyewitnesses. Okay? At sa mga nag-exam na mga pieces of evidence. So, a filmmaker decides to make a documentary about the moonlighting. He analyzes, interprets, and explains the original primary source evidence, such as the photographs and eyewitness reports we mentioned earlier. This documentary is considered as secondary kasi nga, explanation na ng mga documents na sinulat na mga naglanding sa buwan. Pero kapag eksakto yung document na ni-report mo, maging primary source ka pa rin. So, ganun din sa police report natin. Kapag verbatim yung sinabi mo, isinite mo sa report mo yung eksaktong sinabi ng eyewitness, so yung report mo ngayon maging primary source. Pero pag ni-rephrase mo, ni-recite mo or ni-rephrase mo yung sinabi ng biktima, so maging secondary source na yung report mo. Now, a student decides to write a paper on the study habits of students, just like the professor did in the earlier example. While doing research, the student finds the article published by the professor and decides to use it in his literature review, along with some other articles. The student interprets and compares the professor's article to other publications. So your interpretation now is considered a secondary source because it is based upon and interprets the primary source, the article published by the professor. Okay? So paano yan, class? Ang mga police class, may mga researcher din sila. So for example, nagre-research ka tungkol sa mga victimization para may magamit kayo na crime prevention ninyo sa office ninyo. Di ba? So pwede kang mag-conduct ng research mo. Tapos gawan mo ng report yung research mo. Okay? So ngayon, kapag meron kang nakuhang mga data at binigyan mo ng interpretation at yun ang dinagdag mo sa report mo, yung report mo magiging secondary source for that purpose, for that information. Pero pag in toto na sinabi mo, no? So for example, ang tanong mo sa research, nabiktima na ba kayo ng online bullying, di ba? Tapos The follow-up question, anong ginawa ninyo? Okay, tapos naglagay sila ng mga iba't ibang mga reason bakit kung anong ginawa nila nung sila naka-experience ng online bullying. Okay? So, ganon, kapag verbatim, ibig sabihin, eksakto yung mga sinabi nila, ang ilagay mo sa report mo, maging primary source ka. Pero pag nirephrase mo yon, maging secondary na yung report mo.